Okay, my name is Gabriel Carrera, and I advertise as the attorney that rides, and this is number 9. Number 9. This is my vlog called The Writer's Report, and today I'm going to review and talk about a video that came out in the Business Insider. It's a YouTube video. I will post the link down below. But they do these different types of videos, whether it's the rise and fall of Cadillac, Hummer. Well, they did one on Harley Davidson, and it was a little bit lopsided, a little bit different. I think the quality of the production was good, but we'll get on that. But basically, the Business Insider is a business type publication. They were talking about Harley Davidson, how it started out in a garage by the two brothers. We know the story, how people were coming back from World War II. They actually became big because the military contracted Harley Davidson to manufacture all these motorcycles, and they did such a great job. And these guys were actually using them on the field, on the theater of war, that when they came back to the United States, they're like, you know what, I want to get back into riding. And supposedly, according to Business Insider, that's where the motorcyclist subculture came into play. And then the 60s with Hollywood, and then they come back up. And basically, there was a little AMF, whatever, had the downfall of them. But then the Harley brother came in and brought it back up with the Evo. And at one point in 2006, they made $1 billion profit. But after that, they never got back to where it was. And this is according to Business Insider. I'm just giving you the synopsis, this nutshell of what the video is. And, you know, they're talking about, that, you know, all these guys wanted big bikes with big engines and big sound. And it sort of helped them, but it's not going to help them in the long run. And they said that part of the reasons for the fall of Harley Davidson, and I'm here with my notes as to not misquote these people, but they're talking about the baby boomers. The baby boomers are dying out. They're the ones that ran to Harley Davidson. They had the adventurous spirit. They wanted to get out on the road and just make adventure happen on two wheels. Okay, great. But we're declining. I was born in 1964. I am at the end of the baby boomers. And I remember, I had my first motorcycle in 1979. My first bike was a Suzuki 400. It was just one big ass cylinder about that big. And then I joined a motorcycle club, and it was a more Hispanic in an inner city, and I had a Suzuki 750. And then when I left Connecticut and moved back to Florida, I was going to American Motorcycle Institute in Daytona Beach, and I completed the course and became a mechanic, and I ended up buying my first Harley Davidson, which was a 1200 Sportster, but it had a big old fat Bob tank on it, and it was great. I mean, it was awesome. And I am part of the baby boomers. And I remember back then, basically, if you didn't ride a Harley, you weren't shit. And I hate to say, that's the way it was. That's the way people spoke. They're like, hey, I remember going to keg parties in the woods. And I would have to hide my Suzuki over here, my 750, because if you showed up on a Jap bike, yes, not a metric bike, it was a Jap bike. And no disrespect to our Japanese brothers, but that's what it was. That was the history. And they'd beat your ass. And I had a lot of fights. There's that Japan, come on, boom, bam, beam, boom. You're fighting there, and it was strong. People like, buy American. It was strong, you know. But, you know, the second reason that the Business Insider says it's the price of the bike. Their average price is $20,000. When you can get, for half the price lower, you can get a Triumph. I myself, I own 2 Harleys. I've been looking at the Bonnevilles, the Triumph Bonnevilles. They made a 1200. I used to own a 1967 Bonneville in Daytona Beach. It was on a rigid frame. I loved it. It was loud. It was straight pipes, and it was fun to ride. And I think I might buy one of these days. You know, just to ride around town, not have to. My cruiser that I use for my long distance runs, you know, I've got a Road King. That's basically my baby, where I did halfway around the world. The first one, that was a Daytona Beach police motorcycle that was retired. And not only that, I've got a Road Glider 2019, which I just completed that riding halfway around the world. But they're saying that the price of bikes, mine, I mean, I bought mine for $25,000 out the door. Sticker price, I believe, was $30,000, 31, almost $32,000. And none of the dealerships down here wanted to give me a deal. I ended up going to Rock City, Arkansas. And if you go to them, drop my name, ask for Mike Rayla. And look, I'm not paid to say this. They just gave me a good price. I've referred 2-3 people over there. They've gotten the cheapest price, and they had the fun of flying up there and coming back. So, you know, give them a holler, Rock City in Arkansas. But the price of the bike is a lot of money, and they also say that it's not good to go back and forth to work every day. It becomes an expensive toy. Then they started going that the millennials are not captivated to buying the bikes. Well, I always had a problem with the millennials. They're too protected. I think that they were born in the wrong period of time. Because back when I was young, I used to go out and play. It wasn't like rubber playgrounds, man. When you fell off the monkey bars, it hurt. But you stepped up, shook it off, manned up, and kept walking. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when I was young, I had that sense of adventure. I wanted to take the world by the horns and see what there was to see. And even into my old age of 55, going to be 56 in August, when I do the Hoka Hey this summer, basically, you know, that adventure-seeking spirit within me is still there. But millennials, they're like safe. They want to take it easy. The PC crowd, it became like snowflakes. I don't understand why. And they look at us like, oh, you're too aggressive. You're too macho. And I get guys, and the few millennials that do buy bikes, they're on these foreign domestic bikes, and they down us Harley guys like, oh, you guys are all macho. We're not into that. Listen, it is what it is. It's if it wasn't for us, you guys wouldn't be here. What can I tell you? And the other, they talk about the perception of middle-aged white men. About that point, I'm like, this is starting to smell like a political hit job. Like it's you know, the progressive left is always talking about that. You know, like the middle-aged white guy is Mr. Evil, and it's like, come on, give me a break. We're like anybody else. We're like a squirrel just trying to get a nut out there. You know, we didn't have any say in what skin God dropped us into. But we should all be equal, and I believe in that. But then they started talking about how the Trump tariffs is a major factor why now they're hurting. And it is possibly true that it is, and they had to move to Vietnam to make motorcycles so that they can ship it to Europe, because Europe slapped some I guess on American motorcycles, which is Harley, right? Tariffs on them, and it became more expensive, about $2,200 more expensive to buy a Harley in Europe. But the tariffs had to be done for a reason, because other countries were dumping. They were trying to kill and eliminate our steel industry, and we need our steel industry. It's in the best interest, because what happens if we go to war? We see now what's happening with China. You know, a lot of the people are not going to work. And there's a lot of things we're missing out on: chips, pharmaceuticals, supplies, where America has been dependent on China. But now, because of the coronavirus, they're not going to the factories, they're not working. And now there's a drought on many raw products or things of that nature, electronics, pharmaceuticals, things of that nature. Imagine if we depended upon our bullets, on our armor, tanks and planes from China. We would be like without. So we need to build up our manufacturing base, and we need to build up Harley Davidson somehow. But I posted this video on Facebook, and I got a lot of responses. Now, I sort of felt it was a little politically tilted, and I wasn't too happy with it. But what do you expect? It's the mainstream media. But I want to say here, we've got some guys here on Facebook that when I posted the video up, they responded and gave their 2 cents as to why Harley Davidson is the way it is. Scott Senebler says they lost their vision years ago when the market was strong and dealers had a waiting list. That mentality never went away. And I guess he's referring to 2006 because they couldn't keep them on display. They were leaving. Then we have my buddy Bill Aviles, who him and I, we try to go every year to ride to the wall up in Washington, D.C. on the long weekend there. And it says, they don't mention is product support network. An overwhelming number of dealerships have turned their back on the customer. I spend my hard-earned money at a dealership that values me as a customer. I'll never buy another Harley Davidson again. Now, I know Bill, he's got an adventure bike. I think he still has a Harley in his driveway. But a lot of people are not buying Harley Davidsons because of the way the dealerships treat people. When you go into the Harley Davidsons here in South Florida, they try to say, well, we're up here and you're down here, and you're sort of like treated with contempt. Oh, if you want to be cool and be where I am, you need to buy a Harley. And they come in with those pressure tactics to get people to buy motorcycles. Let's see here. Oh, Adam Lima. It's easy. Harley loyalists have been buying Harleys for decades. Trying to get into a Harley as your first bike is very expensive. They'll double the cost of any foreign bike with the exclusion of names like BMW, Ducati, Triumph. Oh, I gotta go here. Okay. In as simple as I can put it, Harley has loyal following, a recognizable global brand, and very expensive products. Products that could be matched by cheaper alternatives, followed by, basically his whole argument is, hey, the cost. People want to get in the wind, and a lot of these foreign bikes, they make their cruisers to sound like Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson even tried to patent the sound of their bike and try to sue other companies from producing the bikes, but the Supreme Court said no, and that was that. But Harley Davidson is making the 500cc, the 750cc, and they got the 883cc, and those are relatively priced. So if somebody really wanted to get up on the bike and do it, they can do it. If you buy a Sportster or you get an entry-level bike and you say, look, this is too small, I want to get a bigger bike, they will give you dollar for dollar what you paid for the motorcycle as a trade-in if you do it. I think it's a year or something like that. So, I mean, they are trying to do that. The last comment that I have here is from Sydney Mitchell. And Sydney says, okay, boys and girls, the truth of the matter is poor management. You have a bunch of corporate guys that run the company, understanding that the electric Harley is not the future. That is the biggest piece of crap project that they ever made. Oh my God. Everybody thought, you're going to buy it? Hell no. Who's going to buy it? Bernie Sanders is going to buy one, I think. I don't know. Joe Biden, I don't know. I sure as hell ain't buying no electric frickin' bike. Understanding is not the future. That was an idiot move. And Sydney, I approve and agree with your statement there, that the fact that the bike costs more than a car is another concern. Their only concern is about profits, coupled with the fact that there is no appreciation for customer loyalty is the reason. This has nothing to do with Trump and everything to do with poor management. I guess he also saw what I saw, that they tried to malign Trump subliminally in the Business Insider video of why Harleys rise and fall. Remember the story of Apple and Steve Jobs? He founded the company, became very innovative, and then the board basically kicked him out. Then the company went to shit. And then they brought Steve back. He brought in more innovative things like creating the iPod, the iPhone, and the iPad, and the rest is history. The company went back up. I tend to agree. I have another thing is that also the Harley community likes to pimp out their bikes. They like to put out new pipes and this, that, and the other. And now they are making bikes to fight against aftermarkets that make parts for them. And a lot of times the aftermarket is better quality and much less expensive. And if you do things to your bike that's aftermarket, you could lose your warranty. I had a friend of mine, because he spent close to $70,000 on his bike. Hoka, hey brother, he went through 3 engines because it kept blowing up because the oil pump was a piece of garbage on the Milwaukee 8. And basically, the guy from Harley came by to see, why is this bike blowing 3 engines and why are we paying for it? Because he built it up to a stage 4. I don't know why. I guess he had the money. He just wanted to do it. But the guy saw that he had aftermarket exhaust pipes on his bike. And he says, I'm voiding out your warranty. And he goes, but wait a minute. The pipes have nothing to do with the defect in my engine. And you know what the Harley rep told him? You're right, but at least I don't have to deal with you. Really? This guy spent, was it $60,000 or $70,000 on an engine that he thought he used the Harley parts just because they just wanted to get rid of him. They're like, screw, we're not going to lose money with you no more. And because they wiped their ass with customers in this manner, I've known of other people that have had fuel management systems. And now Harley, so that you know, when they put the computer, it'll get your information. If they sense that there's an aftermarket fuel management system, it'll send an email to Harley. I have this on good news from a Harley mechanic. So be careful. Let your guy, if you've got some other type of fuel management system. I have all Harley. I just put Reinhardt pipes on my bike. I love the sound. The Harley Screaming Eagle pipes really just didn't do it. Took them off. If anybody wants to buy some used pipes, let me know. Got it for you, cheapy cheap. But the thing is that Harley used to stand for its riders, for the bikers. Used to promote and support, at least down here in South Florida, the folks. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. There is room for improvement. Harley can get on top again. I think that they're doing things. It's sort of like they do one thing good over here and then they do one bad thing over there. But either way, but the rise and fall. What do you have to say? Listen, your comments is my oxygen. I'd love to hear what you're saying about that. And if there's any other areas that you would like me to blog upon, to pontificate upon, and start a conversation on, please, post it right down here below. I like to hear from you. This is the edition number 9 of the Riders Report, the rise and fall of Harley Davidson. I'm not a professional. I do this because I enjoy it. And like I always say, keep the sunny side up and the rubber side down. And I'll see you on the next vlog of the Riders Report here